You know what he got up and said? He said, you people, a lot of you are just a bunch of hypocrites. He said, you had Ruckman come to that camp at Choff for something like 10 years, and Beach and Vic said, Pete Ruckman is the greatest youth speaker I've ever heard, and he had him there no matter what his marriage situation was. He had him in there every time, and when he died, you quit inviting Ruckman in. And I said, you're a bunch of hypocrites. Some of you guys have been married twice, and you trade pulpits. I said, what are you doing cutting Ruckman out? And boy, you talk about a silence coming over. I mean, you have 200 preachers in there, man. And he said, if I believe about the King James Bible, what you fellas believed, I'd quit preaching and go back to the gang. Bam, and walked off the platform. Now, boy, you talk about a kick in the slats, man. That guy was one of the gang. They had a contract on him for 3 years. And they watched him for 3 years. They thought he was a fake, leaving the gang. And they watched him for 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, they sent him a note saying, the hit's off, you're real. They watched him preach for 3 years, and they came to the conclusion he wasn't trying to fool anybody. He had the real thing. And he did. What I was going to say about this thing about this cup is I remember one night, it must have been about 2 years before he died, we were going along the winter. I always preached up there in Thanksgiving. Cold up in there in Detroit in November. Man, it's cold. And we're coming back, going through some muck and stuff on the street. We've been to, again, melt a little bit, and going along there. We had a good time together and hadn't said a word for about a mile of driving. I had about 2 miles to go. And we're just sitting there in the car. And suddenly, both of us turned to each other and said, brother, and then we laughed because we both said the same thing. We both said, something, brother, I said, yeah, brother, you know something? You know what we're both going to say, and we both admitted it. We're both going to say, God gave us the best of it. That's what we were going to say. I told him I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. They come out just like not an echo, just like they're coming out together. Brother, God gave us the best of everything. And you know why we were saying that? Because I know what he meant. He knew what I meant. He meant that we were two fellows who God let go just like wild animals and let us just run and do what we wanted to do just whenever we wanted to do it. And that's about what it was. For me, 28 years, and for him it was about 27 years. And he said, we got all this stuff here and close to getting killed a half a dozen times, and all this stuff going right down to the bottom of the dredges, to the worst of it, and let us go.